Hi everyone, I'm Jason. This is our boat Sitka. She's a Choily Offshore 41 yawl. I've been sailing since I'm 18 years old. Got into it not knowing anything about sailing.
Hi, I'm Kenna. I've been living aboard Sitka for a year now, and I am completely new to sailing, but I am learning it and loving it more and more each day. And yeah, this is her, and we're getting ready to go offshore to Mexico.
So here at the bow, one thing that we've done on this boat to go offshore is we've added a furling. We've also upgraded to like a good cruising anchor. We've changed pretty much everything that's running rigging, including all the blocks, all the lines. We've added a brand new mainsail, a new Genoa as well. The masts are Sitka spruce, so a very traditional way of building masts. We've custom built this Dodger. So this wasn't part of the boat originally. It was just a soft Dodger, so I built this out of fiberglass. Added solar, so we have a 300 watt panel, hard panel, and then a 100 watt flexible ones. And they both go to independent MPPT controllers, so we have a redundancy system if one was to fail. Kenna did an amazing job building these cockpit cushions and sewing them after having never sewn before. And we have our mizzen mast here, which this is why it's called a yawl, so that we have an aft mast here, and then this is where we store our outboard engine for our dinghy, which is right there in the water. This is where we have our self-steering wind vane. So we're currently working on that project. And here is a custom propane tank that I built for the boat. This gives you a nice area where you're quite protected at sea, where you can see 360 around, and you can also see the sails from down below. And an added bonus is we can lay here at sea and just like watch the stars at night, which is kind of nice. One thing we've added to because we're going to be cruising in quite a lot of remote places, and a water maker is not in our budget, so we put handrails on the side which will collect rainwater. So water just comes out of these funnels, and then we can filter it and just put it in jerry cans. And then we can, anytime it's raining, and a lot of times in the Pacific, you get a huge thundering down rain. So in 20 minutes, we can fill probably 20 gallons of rain. So we have that on either side. So that's gonna help a lot, I think. These are things I've learned from my last boat that I didn't have and I wish I had.
I'm from Alberta originally, so I'm a prairie girl at heart. I came out here just trying to find myself, and I met this sailor, and 5 days later he asked me to go on a 10-day sailing trip, and I was terrified. I always got seasick. I honestly didn't want to go. I was quite scared, but I just was presented with the opportunity, and I just thought, you know, like, why the hell not? And so I went on it, and it was honestly life-changing. I'm very new to sailing and I'm learning it more, but it was actually the other week that we went sailing and I learned how to anchor properly, and I had a couple realizations while doing that we have our whole home no matter where we go in the world, so we can see all of these different places and we have everything that we need in our home. I think that's a really nice reason is to live on a sailboat, is you can go see places that people, you know, on the road can't, and you have your whole home with you. So we have our main cabin right over here. This is where we sleep. It's close to a double bed, so it's very, very spacious, and it's more in the middle of the boat, so when at sea it's a lot more stable. Also insulated the entire hall inside as well, so it's been nice and cozy in there. We added shelvings here with holes so that there's a lot of airflow. So underneath the mattress here we have planks, so this allows air ventilation underneath the bed so that you don't get any condensation or mold eventually that would happen. So these are one of our hatches up forward here as well. We also have a window here on the starboard side, and we also have one facing aft as well.
So this is our quarter berth area. When we first bought the boat, there used to be another bed here, but I decided to actually build this cabinet space, which was a better use of the space. So we have a shoe rack here, and then under this bin is actually where I keep all my tools, like my power tools, all live under here. This is our electrical panel, part of it. So we have our AC side, so For people that are in van, that's like your RV, so you're connected to shore. So that's only when we're plugged in to a marina. If we're sailing offshore, then our 12-volt system here, and there's another panel on the side as well. And these are the MPPT controller that you've seen that I was talking before for the solar. So this is for a big 300 watt panel, and this is for a 100 watt panel. This is the brain for autopilot, or linear drive autopilot. And here we have our battery monitor, so we can see the voltage, what we're using. Fire extinguisher, of course, for safety. And under this berth here, if I lift this up, there is actually a fridge compressor under here for the fridge in the galley. And then under here is a big storage space where we keep a lot of other tools. There's a lot of tools on this boat because there's no plumbers, electricians, or carpenters in the middle of the ocean, so we have to do all our own stuff. So I built this custom locker here. It's all insulated with Armaflex, which is what we insulated both cabins with. So it's quite a nice product. It would work great too in a van, and you don't lose a lot of space. It is kind of hard to get and a bit expensive, but over the years I've tried literally everything else, and this is by far the best product that I've used. Behind here, this area is a nav station. So if we were to remove all these jackets, this folds down and we have a repeat of our chart plotter that we have in the cockpit. So basically that's kind of like your nav system in a car. VHF radio, our repeaters for our wind instruments, our main bilge pump. So if water was ever to get in the boat, that just takes care of it. It's always in auto. Then we have another bilge pump that's mounted just above this one. So if water was to reach that pump, not only would this pump kick off, but it would, the high water bilge alarm would come on as well, inside and also outside. And that's, we would for sure know that there's an issue. Although this is a sailboat, there is also an engine on here. And on here, on Sitka, it resides just under here. So this is our Yanmar 56 horsepower diesel. So we call her the Beast. She's pretty much as big as you'd want on this boat because there's not a lot of room to play around, but she pushes this boat at like a comfortable 7 knots. And she doesn't use a lot of fuel. She's pretty new, only got like 400 hours on it. I had my first boat when I was 17, not knowing anything about boats, but it was a very small boat. You couldn't live on it. And I didn't even know at that time that people did live on boats. And this old school sailor at the marina I was in Quebec invited me on his boat. And as I walked down inside the galley, I realized that I could stand up. And I mean, I'm 6'3", so that had never happened to me before, that I could stand up in a boat. And there was a full-on kitchen, bathroom, bedrooms, and all that stuff. So I'm like, do you live on your boat? And he's like, yeah, me and my wife have been living aboard for 40 years. I'm like, well, like, where do you go in the winter? Because in Quebec it freezes. He's like, yeah, once it's too cold and we need to wear socks, that's our cue. We sail down to the Caribbean. And then that always stuck in the back of my mind as like, okay, this is what I want to do for a living. Like, I want to live on the ocean like these guys. Like, I got to figure out a way to get from where I am right now, which was at the bottom of the barrel, to get to that level. So a few years later, I moved here for work to BC, to Victoria, and then boating became more something that you could do year round. And I was living downtown in a condo, and as I was cleaning my old bins that I hadn't used, in like all those boxes that you keep carrying around from apartment to apartment, I finally went through them, and there was my old sailing magazines that were French. And I started, instead of cleaning, which I should have been doing, I started reading and going through the magazine, and I found this cool article about this young couple that were in their 20s, and they bought this 30-foot sailboat, sold everything, and went sailing offshore. And that minute I was like, that's it, I'm selling everything. So I sold my motorcycle, sold everything I owned, and bought a boat. And I didn't have a lot of money, so I bought a Rawson 30, which was a cheap boat. It was like $7,000. It had no engine, the rigging was garbage. It was located in Nanaimo, and I was working here in Victoria. I bought a minivan for $800 and turned it into a workshop. And I would drive there, work on my boat at night, drive back in the morning at 5 a.m. to be here for 7 to work. I did this for months, and then finally got the boat ready. And in 2015, sailed offshore. So sailed it from Victoria to San Francisco to Hawaii, Hawaii back to San Fran, and then down to Mexico. That boat was quite a bit small. It wasn't like my end boat. So once we got to Mexico, and like relationship wise, it wasn't going great either. So decided to put that boat for sale, and then came back to Canada, worked more, and then bought this current boat, and this hopefully, I think it's my forever boat. It is my forever boat. I love this boat. And I've been putting everything I have, energy, time, money, in it for the last 6 years, and now we're about to finally go offshore again together. So in here's our head. So in a house, a bathroom. So it does, like, we have pressured water on here, hot and cold. The hot water though only works when we're either connected to a dock or the engine has ran in the last couple hours. The head that we have on here is a Raritan, and it uses the water from the ocean. So, and it's manual, so you have to pump manually. You cannot put toilet paper into this head, and then it goes into a tank basically that's on board, and then we pump it out. Or if we're at sea and we're like offshore, then we can just change the valve and pump it right over the side. And then we have quite a bit of storage in here, just little bins where you keep your, your daily things, your vitamins, whatnot. And then in here, this is not gonna be what most people have in their bathroom, but this is a fiberglass locker. That's all my gear to do fiberglasses in here. And then in here, this is how we shower. So basically, we would just take this off, and we take this little thing off, put this away here, and we just have this little guy come up here, and there's actually quite a bit of pressure, and then we'd close this off like this, and once you get the water going, there's a little switch here that I just turn on, and then it will start sucking the water out of here through a sump pump and off the boat. For real, my piece of advice would be find somebody that has a boat. Like, people that have boats are gonna be generous with their time. If you're passionate and you want to get into a boat, go to your local marina and just literally knock on a boat and talk to these people, because you want to, before you purchase your first boat, you're gonna save yourself a lot of time and a lot of money if you do this. Go on various boats, talk to different people, gain a little bit of experience of what kind of layout would work for you, what kind of layout wouldn't work for you, and get on boat sailing. If you go to any yacht club, they'll have races every week, and trust me, they're always looking for people, and it's free, and you'll meet new people, you'll meet people in that are living that lifestyle already, so you'll get the advantage of knowing things from experience instead of having to learn it the hard way yourself.
This is our galley. So we have a side opening fridge, which we are very blessed with. So it's easy to grab anything that you need for dinner or any meals that you are cooking. And then it just latches closed. And then we also have a top opening freezer up here as well, and it's quite spacious inside. And this is our propane stove, so it is gimbaled for when we are at sea for cooking, as well as in the oven. Nice, lots of room to make banana bread. I love to bake. So lots of soups, lots of cans, spices, and it's very, very spacious. We also have a very big storage over here as well. So this is where we keep a lot of more cans and sauces, oil, pasta, and this goes very deep as well. So it's a ton of storage, and it goes further back.
Yeah, this is where we put our deep storage food. So when we leave for offshore, we store a lot of food in here and under those cities, and that's enough food for a crew of 3 or 4 people for at least 4 months, like easily. We have enough food right now on the boat that we could leave tomorrow and be at least 5 months at sea with no issues for just the 2 of us.
This is a freshwater pump, so this is what we use for cooking and fresh drinking water. And then this is, we do our dishes with this here.
So I want to add another pedal here and then have basically another faucet on this side, and that's going to be for salt water, so that when we're at sea, we'll be able to use salt water to do 99% of the dishes and then just rinse with a little spritz bottle, because fresh water is honestly the most precious thing on a sailboat when you're sailing offshore, especially without a water maker. So we really want to conserve water. So when we actually sail offshore, we shut this pump off. So the only thing we can use is this. So that way it does 2 things. It makes, we're used to this, but like when we have crew on board, that way they're less tempted to waste water when you actually have to work for it. And secondly, if there was to develop a leak in the system, the pump would just empty the whole tank, because it wouldn't reach its pressure. So if we're all outside, we would never know and lose all our water, and that's not a good situation to be in when you're hundreds of miles or thousands of miles away from land. My life philosophy is, like, over the years, I used to be, because I'm like an A-type person, so I was always focused on like, okay, like before I go next time, I need to have this in order. I need to have this much money. I need to have this much money, and like it had to be so planned and rigid that I'm like, I'm not leaving without that sense of security. And over the years, especially with what just happened with COVID and the fact that we couldn't do anything and all that stuff, I've came to realize, I'm like, listen, like I could literally die tomorrow. I could die tomorrow. We could all die tomorrow. And at the end of the day, like, do I need that money and that stuff when I'm 78 years old and I can't, maybe I'll be in a position where health-wise I might not be able to do this? Or should I just do it now? And there's a fine balance, and I think that balance is going to be different for everyone, obviously. But for me, I was at the point where I'm like, whatever happens, I'm leaving in September. It does not matter. Like, I need to do this now, and if I don't, I will regret it. And like there's a bunch of quotes that you could say, but at the end of the day, like, you're gonna be more disappointed with the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. Like Mark Twain was right. Like, and it's like, it's a classic one, but I think it's became one of my main mottos really in life.
Yeah.
This table has a cool hidden feature, and this is Kenna's dad's favorite. It's the rum bar.
Every sailboat needs rum.
Every sailboat needs rum. And this table also folds down, so we can undo these pins, and then this table also will come and sit on this slip here. And then we have 3 blue cushions that come and fit on here, and this turns into a giant platform where we like to just watch movies and chill out, basically. We can fold both sides down, which makes it like easier to walk forward and aft. And if you come here, you'll see when we sail at sea offshore, we put nets here. So this is fine for coastal sailing, but offshore some stuff would fall off, so we just add a net on either side, and it keeps things pretty organized. And then we have more storage. Like, this boat has quite a bit of storage. Behind this door here is the blackwater tank, so for the toilet, and also a small diesel tank that feeds this diesel heater. And then in here, this is where I keep all my important paperwork for the boat, our captain's log, all our systems. I have like books for every single thing. I'll print stuff off and I'll make my own like books with every manual that there is on board is in here. There's our custom little plate here for this boat, and it was built in Hong Kong in 1976, which is quite cool. They're pretty classic boats. They only build 100, and of this exact model, like, I don't have the exact number, but I think there's only 6 or 7 in the world. I've found 2 so far, apart from this one. And this is, if you come forward, this is a bit of a tighter space, but this is the v-berth. So this door closes, and then this platform comes and sits here with this cushion and turns into a double bed. So you could be a couple here comfortable. Like, we sail in the summer for our friends, and that becomes their cabin. We still haven't done a lot of work to this cabin, but we want to actually make a sliding door in here so the bed's always fully made. And we're going to add some big lockers here on either side so people can store their clothes and stuff. And then up forward here is our anchor locker, so that's where all the chain comes down for the anchor. So we got 280 feet of G4 chain. This is an old trawler lamp that we quite like. It provides quite a bit of heat. Yes. And once again, we have like the big skylights everywhere, so quite a bit of light. This is the original plans for the boat. I've added a few notes on there for what valves to close and when, but yeah. I think one of the biggest challenges is weather, because we can't control it, and when you're offshore, you're at its mercy, and like it doesn't care what school you went to, what you have in your bank account. It will treat you the same. Like, it's and that could be a good thing, but it could be a bad thing too. Like, I've been in some pretty bad seas where, so like that weather can be very challenging. And I think one of the big challenges I have too is like being able to teach other people what I know and not assuming that they know what I know, because that can be hard sometimes too, right? Because sometimes it's stressful situations, things need to happen quickly, and you want to make sure you transmit that information clearly to whoever's going to be doing that task without thinking that they might know all the things that you know. Like, they don't have your experience, so you have to like being a good pedagogue is something that like I'm working on, because it can be hard sometimes.
Absolutely.
So for me, when I first moved on my first boat, that was like a big process, because I had like a lot of stuff that I was the kind of person that used to collect things. I used to have like bins of books and bins of little knickknacks that you picked up from traveling, albums of photos, CDs, DVDs, all these things. I used to do quite a bit of art, so I had a lot of supplies. And when I focused on like, okay, I need to downsize to a 30-foot sailboat, to me it became quite easy. Everything that I hadn't used in the last month went away. I gave it away or brought it to like homeless shelters. I didn't care about it anymore. Clothes, I was like, it was quite easy for me, but I know it's not the same for everyone, but for me it was quite easy. And now after that, I went from a 30-foot boat to a 41-foot boat. So now it's like, for me, this is massive.
Yeah,
this is like, whew, so much room for activities. Let's make some bunk beds in here. Yeah.
I went directly from a house to a sailboat, so that was a very drastic change for me. Jay and I, we fell in love like immediately, and I moved in quite fast. And yeah, I went directly from living in Alberta to moving onto the sailboat, and it was a big change.
Less sweaters.
A lot less things that I kept in a house. Like, I really realized I had a lot of materialistic items that I just served genuinely no purpose. Like, I didn't need, the newest this or the trendiest this. Like, it was just, you need what you have, and then that's it. Like, I packed one duffel bag to come here, and that's all I've had on the boat since, and I've forgotten about everything else. And it just shows, like, you don't need a lot, like, at all. So I came here with just, as much sweaters as I can. I love sweaters. I collect colorful sweaters. So I came here with my sweaters and any other necessities I needed, and that was it. And everything was just kind of, it was just...
Yeah. And I think most people that travel can relate to the fact that when you're traveling and you only have like a backpack, that's usually when you feel the freest and the happiest, because you don't have all these strings pulling you and pulling your attention away. So you can really focus on the present moment, right? I've met people from all walks of life with very different types of personalities. Like, I'm a very A-type personality where I need things really organized and everything, and I've met people that the polar opposite. Like, I have friends that sail offshore and they're the polar opposite. So it really it's just your cruising style might change, but I think this is open to pretty much anyone as long as you're passionate about it.
Passionate, open-minded.
Yeah, willing to learn.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a continuous learning experience. Like, I'm still learning, and I've been doing this for 15 years.
And age-wise, like, any age. We just were at an anchorage, and we saw this lady that we assumed was probably mid-70s.
Yeah.
Pull up her anchor by hand and ran to the cockpit and...
Put the sails up.
Like, all by herself, and then sailed off. And it was just, like... It was amazing to watch, and that it's like anybody can do it. It doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter if you don't know anything or if you know everything. Like, it's like you said, a continuous learning.
People put too many limitations on themselves. I think like you gotta just go for it.
You can learn it from scratch, and you can continue learning after you even think you know everything.
If I can do it, trust me, you can do it. You're gonna be fine.
I have learned to be more present. I notice things more, like. Even Jay, when I first met him, he's like, do you hear the wind? And I was like, no, who hears wind? I was like, what do you mean, do I hear the wind? And now I listen for the wind all the time, or I listen for certain forces of the weather, and it's just, I've never felt that before owning a boat, but it's like certain noises you adapt to, and certain...
It's a sailor's sixth sense, we call it.
And I just never understood it until I hear like a slight buzzing, and then I'm just thrown off, and I have to figure it out what it is, because something could be going wrong or anything like that.
You're cute right now.
Oh God!
I forgot the question. I've learned that I need to work on my patience, because like honestly, like on a boat, and anybody that has a boat that's listening will agree with this. Things will test out your patience. Like projects, like things that are inaccessible, dropping tools in the ocean, And yeah, I've learned to like be more patient. I'm still, it's a work in progress. I used to turn on the engine if we like were under a certain speed, but now I'm like, what's the actual point of owning a sailboat? It's to sail. So like, might as well just sail at 2 knots and enjoy the actual journey of doing it. So on my last boat, I think a lot of times I was not actually enjoying it as much because I was just focused on, we need to get from here to there, and I told people it would take us 6 days, and now we're on day 8, and it's, but who cares? Like the whole point of it is to sail and be out there and enjoy your time. So I'm learning to like disconnect more and just like forget about timings and just actually live in the present moment. That's the thing that I've learned the most and that I'm still working on.
What I've learned about myself is failing is okay. Like, there is no such thing as failures, it's just lessons learned. And I'm learning that because the most things that I remember in my brain is like things I honestly have messed up, and that Jay has to tell me, hey, like, listen, it has to be done this way because of this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, so if I don't do it a proper way, then things can go wrong. And so by failing, you learn more and you learn how to do things properly. And I think that's it's you know, it's kind of a taboo thing, but you need to learn to fail.
Yeah, because a lot of people, when you bring them on a sailboat at first, they get quite overwhelmed. Like, there's a lot of lines, there's a lot of things. It's a new language. Like, learning how to sail, that's the hardest part. If you want to get into sailing, learn the lingo. Like, there's books, like, because it's all different words, and knowing them makes a huge difference. And also, when you teach someone, if they know the lingo already, it helps a lot. So you're learning a new language, and a lot of people are scared and they won't want to do anything. They just, like, watch. So it's good to get in there and, like especially when you're coastal cruising, that's the best time to do it. Do your mistakes here, not when you're like on your big passage.
I haven't experienced happiness at this level until I've actually worked with my hands, fixing things, learning systems, doing things like just with my hands, like raising the mainsail and learning everything. I feel so much more accomplished than having it easy. Yes, so we do have a YouTube channel. It's at Sailing Sitka. We post every Sunday now. Yeah,
every Sunday we have an episode. And also on our Instagram at Sailing Sitka as well.
Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please share it with a friend. Also, if you want to watch more alternative dwellings, we got a playlist popping up right here, and we release new episodes every single Sunday, so consider subscribing.